My name is Kyle Sundgren. I am a filmmaker, and most of all, I am a straight ally for the gay community. And if you're not familiar with that term, that makes me a heterosexual that is all for equality, and I will fight to achieve that. I recently turned 30, and it was one of those, what am I doing with my life? You know, where am I going forward from here? And my two passions are filmmaking and fighting for equality. So I decided to make good of what I'm good at and make this film. What I did was I interviewed people from the gay community and let them tell their story, just to show that, you know, what we do in our bedrooms is private and it doesn't affect who we are as people. In the end, we're all the same. Currently in America, well over 40% of our citizens still aren't for homosexuals having the same rights as heterosexuals. Unfortunately, some of that 40%, it will just never be turned. And no matter how much logic and reason you throw at them, they're never going to see the error in their ways. I do believe that the vast majority of that 40+% can be turned. I believe that the way they feel the way that they do is just because they've never met or talked to someone from the gay community. If everyone talked to someone that was gay, they would see that we have so much in common, and there's no reason why someone born a certain way should have less rights than me or anyone else that's born straight. So like I said, I conducted many interviews with people from the gay community. Male, female, young, old, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and I let them tell their tale. And I played the role of the straight dumb guy. I asked them questions that many people in the straight community may not understand about the gay community. Some of the questions I knew right off the bat, this is a dumb question. But I genuinely learned some things from the people that I interviewed. So thank you for watching, and I hope you can learn something, and your mailman learned something too.
The big question for those that oppose homosexuality is, were you born gay or did you just choose this lifestyle? A lot of it comes down to religion. How can God create something that in the Bible says it's very wrong?
When we asked if some people might be born gay, the vast majority disagreed, with over half strongly disagreeing that anyone could be born gay. Compare this to LGBT students themselves, who overwhelmingly felt this is how they were born.
All gays who are born gay are overwhelmingly conservative, maybe apolitical. And all those angry gays causing trouble for everybody, I don't even think they were born gay. I think they're angry at their fathers.
So, is being gay a choice?
Absolutely not. No.
Of course not.
No, it's not a choice.
No. It is not a choice. It's something that is inborn.
There has been lots and lots of scientific research done most recently that seems to clearly identify that homosexuality is something that you are born with. It's not something that you would choose. And certainly if you look at our cultural bias, one would have to ask why on earth you would choose an orientation that has, especially in the last 100 years, been so vilified, both in the media, in the religion, and in society.
There's no way that a homosexual would ever teach, a known homosexual would ever teach at Northwest Christian Academy. Just like there's no way that a prostitute would ever teach, a known prostitute would ever teach, or a known drunk would ever teach, because there are scriptural prohibitions, divine prohibitions against these types of sins. We know how people can be set free from those sins in the Lord Jesus Christ.
A common misconception is that since two men or two women can't naturally make a child on their own, that they need to recruit children and turn them gay so as to continue the gay population.
And folks who cannot reproduce want to recruit your kids.
So, gays, for the record, is that something you're trying to do?
No, that's crazy.
You can't turn a child gay. There's no way.
Well,
world domination is on the gay agenda, it is not through children. I don't see straight people trying to adopt or have straight children just to keep the straight lineage going on. I don't see why gay people would want to do that. You know, I mean, there's plenty of orphans out there to adopt, and, you know, just gays just want to have a normal family.
We're not out to recruit. There are too many volunteers out there for. It's not necessary.
I don't remember anyone like bringing me into some kind of cult or anything. I mean, I grew up around people who didn't really talk about it or anything because I went to Catholic school, so I didn't really have an experience to it, and so really I just totally found it like on my own. I just realized who I was and what I was, and then I was fine with it. So I never really had anyone even bringing it up, and I don't think I've ever done that to anyone, consciously or subconsciously.
You didn't put on a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, I don't really plan on it.
Well, of course not. And the reality is we have a child that is a product of my partner and my sister. We were Modern Family before Modern Family became Modern Family. And I'm the fat one.
It's never been a thought inside my head, and I think out of all the several, hundreds of other gay men that I know, gay men and women that I know, have never thought, so after we're done shopping, let's just go recruit some kids and just make them homosexuals and make their parents mad at them.
I think that's just crazy, and it's ridiculous. And to think that anyone could turn someone gay is just as ridiculous as to think that someone could turn someone straight.
Our home is no different than any other. It is filled with warmth, honesty, human dignity, and most importantly, Christian love and understanding.
Children need adults that they can relate to in a normal fashion. That is not a normal situation. I don't care how you define it, it's not normal.
It is not true that most gays produce gays, or most gays solicit, seduce, and try very heavily to make other people into being as gay as possible.
What most straight people know about marriage is you have a mom, you have a dad, they fall in love, make a baby, and you have a family. That's how you came into this world. So how can anything differ from that actually be a family? Why do gays want to redefine marriage? Redefine what a family is?
This is my dad, and this is my dad. How'd I get two dads? They inherited me. Congratulations! It's a girl.
How can two moms and two dads actually make a family?
I think that any child that has an adult that cares for them and loves for them and provides for them is a parent.
To me, my family is my partner, who we've been together for 9 years, and our 2 cats.
So it's up to you to define your family. And if you want to, I know gay people that are married with kids. I know a lot of them. And, women can get inseminated. Gay guys can surrogate. Straight couples surrogate. What about an infertile straight couple? My parents were that couple. I don't see that's a deal breaker to being a family. Love is the key to being a family. Being able to make babies is ancillary. It's not really part of the deal.
Scientists at the University of Pittsburgh have found that around 15% of people don't believe bisexuality is an actual sexual orientation. The researchers believe it has something to do with myths about bisexuality. It's just a phase. They just want to have sex with everyone. And my personal favorite, they're just experimenting. They'll end up straight or gay eventually.
There are a lot of myths and misconceptions about what it means to be bisexual. Members of the bisexual community often feel stigmatized by both gays and straights.
I dated a bi guy once. Such a whore. Greedy much? But if you're dating a guy, then you're just straight. Bi people are ruining the gay community's image. We're not all promiscuous. I was bi once. Alcohol, crazy things, right?
Are they confused? Have they just not made up their mind? Do they not know what gender they're really attracted to? Maybe they're fully gay and they just haven't had the guts to fully come out yet, and bi seems like the safer answer. I met Mike Szymanski and Faith Keltingham on my trip, and they set me straight on a lot of things. I'll let these two experts tell the tale of what it means to be bisexual.
Yeah, bisexuals are always accused of blending in with the straight community. The difference is when my partner and I, who now has been with the man for the last 18 years. When we go somewhere, we're always considered a gay couple. The reality is that both my partner and I are bisexual, and we are attracted to men and women, and so we could look at a good-looking woman or a good-looking guy and comment about it, and that is the reality of our identity. It doesn't necessarily mean we're unhappy because we don't have a woman in our life right now, or that we have to have a woman. It's just like anybody else who has a commitment with whatever partner they have. I remember from the time I was a very early age walking with my aunt in Times Square when it was a little bit more seedy, and there were pictures of naked men and naked women with price tags over their genitals on the magazines in one of the store windows at Times Square. I think we were going to Radio City Music Hall, and I remember being caught. I was looking at the woman, and I was looking at the guy, and I was like, oh my God, they're naked and they're out in the wild, and they have these little stickers over their private parts. And my aunt asked me, which one do you like the best? And I said, both of them.
I like to say, as gay has become more norm, bi has become more queer. Right? So what happens is, unfortunately, when bi parents go into the court system to fight over their kids, their sexual identity is often used against them in a very negative way, in a way that we've only really seen gay couples get. And so we see these huge disparities. People are starting to talk about it, like today, right? We're starting to see more and more news articles, people asking these questions, like, why is the bi community worse off than the gay community? The common misconception is that bi people are more privileged than gay people, because you could kind of choose who you want to be, right? And I always say, well, that really talks about the internalized homophobia we have, right? Because if you think that it'd be easier for me to just go be straight, you're not recognizing how wonderful it would be for me to be involved with a same-sex relationship. So when I talk to a bi woman, she says, well, I'm happily married, I got my kids, I don't really see how this affects me. I say, well, are you out to your doctor? Does she know that you identify as bi? No. Because 30% of bisexual people are not out. We're less likely to be out to our doctors and our healthcare providers. And this is important because we're more likely to have health disparities. Nobody knows why. Is there something about us and our brains that are different? Or is it lack of education? Is it lack of access? I can't tell you. Another thing we talk about with bi women and with bi men is that bisexual people are more likely to experience sexual violence in their lifetime, right? So they have higher levels of stalking, rape, sexual assault, throughout their lifetime. I do think that society's awareness of bi people probably factors into that, and so it's hard to talk to people and say, yeah, you being bi is not why you were sexually assaulted, but perhaps society not understanding that your sexual identity is not a free, open door to your body. It's not a acceptance of sexual assault, where I'm not asking for that, it's not okay. So how that works still has to be kind of really discussed.
You know who redefined marriage? Straight people redefined marriage. Marriage used to be one man acquiring the property of another man, a daughter that became a wife. And straight people redefined marriage to be two individuals who commit to each other because they have a bond of love. There can be children or not children. It can be a monogamous sexual relationship or not a monogamous sexual relationship. There can be a sexual relationship or not a sexual relationship. That's what marriage means now in our culture. And they want to define it back to the patriarchal, sexist institution it once was.
Tony, answer your question, then I'll give you both a final thought, Tony.
Wait, you can't get a word ahead. Oh, you strip me of my rights and I interrupt you. Who's really suffering here?
A lot of people can't quite understand why homosexuals aren't happy with just a civil union or a domestic partnership. We're lucky that a lot of states in America now offer full marriage equality to homosexuals, but we're not there yet. So why is it that marriage specifically is important? Why can't a civil union just be fine for the gay community?
I think the main reason is we're all taxpayers in this country, and there's no reason why one group of people should have a right that another group doesn't have.
There's 1,100 laws that we don't have the rights for in that situation. Why does it have to be separate?
Practically speaking, I'm in a domestic partnership. We know that, if one of us passes away, that the family would have the immediate rights in probate to take whatever they want and to leave the other person with nothing, no rights at all, which in a married couple, that's not the case. The spouse has the immediate probate rights. So this is the situation that happens to gay people a lot.
To me, I don't want any more rights than others have, but I don't want any less. I'm just as good as anybody out there, so why shouldn't I have the same rights if I chose to do that?
It hurts to have somebody who is straight just sit there and let you know that it's not real, that it's fake, that I don't equal them. Like if I went up to, somebody who had a bad attitude towards gays and they had a marriage and a family, it's easy for them to just turn to me and say, your relationship isn't real, it doesn't matter. And it's like, now that we have that equal ground, it's nice. It's nice to just be considered equal with everyone else. There is no, I'm better than you, or I have this and you don't.
It's hard to explain to a fifth grader why I can't have the same kind of marriage as his friends who have a mom and a dad. They see us together, they know that we live together, he sees us, in a loving relationship, and he doesn't understand why we can't get married. And so that's really a shame because, and I guess that's what's saving us, is the younger generation doesn't understand why it's a big deal and why it should make any difference.
Dear straight people, I'm tired of proving that my love is authentic, so I'm calling for reparations on your ass. When did you realize you were straight? Who taught you? Did it happen because your parents are divorced? Did it happen because your parents are not divorced? Did it happen because you sniffed too much glue in 5th grade?
After I asked all the wonderful people that agreed to be interviewed by me all the questions I had, I let them have the final word and asked them, if you could say anything to the currently unaccepting straight community, what would you say? These are their answers.
I'd say don't fear us. It's we have a hell of a lot in common. There's a lot more to a person than their orientation. It's a big part of who we are.
There's more things to fear in this world than gay people. We're all the same. We all work, we all eat, we all sleep. And what happens in other people's houses is that's their privacy.
If you meet someone with an open mind and you like them, I don't think you will not be judging. I don't think that at a certain point you go, wow, we really got along great, but you're gay, so I'm going to not like you. People don't seem to do that in my experience. So, I don't know why anybody who isn't gay gives a shit about gay people, because where someone puts their genitals or does with their genitals is so immaterial in how you relate to people that I'm constantly flabbergasted, especially in America, that people seem to give so much of a damn about what gay people do.
We eat, we breathe, we drive cars like you, we walk just like you, we eat the same foods as you, we have the same jobs as you, we're just like you.
I would say there is no reason for them not to find that being homosexual is not happy, because it is. It's happy, it's healthy, and it's okay. It's okay to be who you are. You love from the heart. I believe in God as much as they do.
I would tell people that as far as bisexuality goes, there's no need to foist your own prejudices about what it means to be bisexual. A bisexual is who they say they are. And it doesn't mean that, you're gay or you're lesbian or you're, you just can't deal with coming out or identifying as gay. These days it's a lot easier to call yourself gay than it is to call yourself bisexual, I guarantee you.
I feel like people who've not come out hold a very fragile part of them within them that when they finally do decide to tell someone, that it's the way that person reacts to them makes or breaks that person, oftentimes. Mostly parents, family members, but if someone's not accepting enough to love anybody and everybody for who they are, as no matter who they are, then how can they expect that in return?
I guess a big question I would ask is if they could think, if gay people had equal rights, equal standings in this country, what harm would it do to them? What would be the harm in it? And you can continue to believe whatever you want to believe, and what someone else does doesn't have to affect you. And also, just one more thing. If perhaps your child comes to you one day and says, you know, I believe I'm gay, just try to be loving. Even if you believe it's a sin, just try to remember that it's your child and they're a piece of you, and just try to be caring and loving.
Most importantly, every gay person must come out. As difficult as it is, you must tell your immediate family, you must tell your relatives, you must tell your friends if indeed they are your friends, you must tell your neighbors, you must tell the people you work with, you must tell the people in the stores you shop in, once they realize that we are indeed their children and we are indeed everywhere, every myth, every lie, every innuendo will be destroyed once and for all. And once you do, you will feel so much better.